gorgeous boss babes. I want to welcome to the show one of my personal favorite humans. She is one of my greatest inspirations, and here's why. She's a mom of three littles, a multimillionaire, master life coach, and money mindset queen. And it is her mission to help 1 million women make $1 million or more a year. Please welcome to the show the founder of Mommy Millionaire, Miss Cayla Craft.
Yay! Hi, Kelly. I'm super excited to be here.
I know. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you. So, Cayla and I go back a few years. Kind of set this up. I used to be a fitness trainer. This is how we met for an all audio-based fitness app. And one day on Instagram, I was tagged in a story mentioned by Cayla while she was doing one of my stair climber workouts. And I saw her title, I clicked on everybody, whoever tags me, I always click on their profile, and it said in her profile, Mommy Millionaire. And I'm like, what? Who is this girl? What does this mean? So I, responded thanks for taking my workout and everything. And yeah, so, I had messaged her because of the story share, and I was just like, who is this Mommy Millionaire? What is she all about? She was in direct sales at the time. And, we just kind of got talking further. I was like, well, I'm part of direct sales too, but I'm just so intrigued by this whole Mommy Millionaire thing, elaborate. And I just kept following her journey, and lo and behold, I wound up going out to California, met her. We took a soul cycle class one time. She shared one of her money mindset books, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Now has become one of my favorite money mindset books as well. And we've become friends. I want to say I would call you my friend. But she has just done so much for me on a personal level. Like I said, personally, my own self-love, my own self-worth has grown significantly because of her, the things that she has done for me. She hosted a live in-person event last October, and whoa, and I'm going to get into that later, but it was just radically life-changing. So I do want you to go ahead. I'll be quiet. And I would love for you to just share your story, how you got to where you are today.
Well, as you're describing how we met, it's taking me back. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just this whole beautiful timeline. And it all started from a tag on social media. That just still is mind blowing to me right now, because people can get frustrated with social media. People are deleting social media off of their phones, but I've met some of my best friends on social media because, you get to meet these people that you normally wouldn't meet in your own town. And so it just goes to show you that social media can be used as a great tool to really change your life if you let it, if that's what you decide it's going to be. Okay. So that's part of my story. Okay. So 10 years ago, I found myself as an ER nurse, and I had a 1-year-old son at home, and I was working as a charge nurse. I was super ambitious. I was I'm going to be the manager of the ER, and then I'm going to be the chief nursing officer of this hospital. And I was getting my master's in hospital administration, and, having a baby changed my life. And when he was 1, I was like, gosh, you know what? I kind of missed a lot of the moments because I was working night shift. I was tired, all the things. Okay. And I was like, something has to change. Well, I had been in direct sales when I was 18 years old. And so I already knew that hey, share what you love and you get paid. And so this time was Facebook. Okay. Facebook was around. It wasn't even Instagram yet that I was using. And I was I made a post on Facebook about the products I was taking, and my whole life changed basically. And within a short period of time, I started making 6 figures. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I've changed my ambitions. I'm I don't want to do this and work for somebody else. I'm going to create my own empire. And so that's how Mommy Millionaire was born. I used direct sales as a vehicle to create my own brand, Cayla Craft, Mommy Millionaire. And that's how it started. When I got in direct sales, a lot of people don't know this. I knew I wasn't going to be in direct sales forever. I knew I was going there to make some money, to make a name for myself, and then to do something way bigger. I was never, I can't be caged in. And in direct sales, I love it. It gives people an amazing opportunity to get started, but it's also putting yourself in a box because you only get to help certain people. you know? And so I started helping people with social media. I started coaching people on how to build their own personal brand. And that's what Mommy Millionaire was. I was like, I'm going to teach people how to create and monetize their personal brand on social media specifically. And then I started doing that and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't really like this. Okay. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to teach people how to post. Like, I hate this. And then I started getting into helping people grow their following. And then I was like, oh, I don't like that either. I'm the queen of the pivot, Kelly. And
I love the pivot.
you've probably seen a lot of my pivots, right? Because
Yeah.
if I get into something and I'm like, oh, no, I don't like it, I give myself permission to move on.
Yeah.
I'm not like a quitter or anything, but because I'm successful at all the things, right? But
Yeah.
I'm just like, this doesn't feel good. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. I'm moving on to the next thing.
Mhm.
And now I finally found my groove in life coaching and doing, all of the things life coaching. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. You've got to experience a little bit of my coaching.
Yeah.
And I decided about 2 years ago, hey, I can only coach so many people. I need to make more Mommy Millionaire coaches. And so I started my academy teaching
Mhm.
people how to be Mommy Millionaire coaches. And now we've expanded our brand to make life coaching affordable for all through our Mommy Millionaire coaching membership. And so it's really cool. I'm excited. It's like the thing I'm 100% passionate, excited about, inspired by. And that's how I am where I am today. And we're
Yeah.
making money and helping people at the
Yeah.
same time. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many people have such a poor lack mindset, negative mindset around money, wealth, rich people, success, quote unquote. And you are one of those people who paints the picture like, no, good people do good things with money. And, I just
Yeah.
commend you for that. I've watched your Instagram, I've seen it in person happen. And I mean, like I said, going back to your event that you hosted, I honestly was like, I knew who you were and I knew the way that you approached your coaching, the way that you coach people, right? And I was like, oh yeah, she's definitely gonna, create some epic breakthroughs here. But then you lined us up with all of these incredible speakers and experiences. It was an experience. It was
Mm-hmm.
not a
Yeah.
conference, a convention. It was an experience. And within 48 hours, my entire life changed. Like, radically. I was shook for lack of a better word. Like, it was crazy because like one of the girls that was there, Natalie, she's energy healer. She does a lot with energy. And at the end of the thing, we were all like the experience was over and she like had me in the bathroom. She's like, Kelly, you just seem like really exhausted and like really tired. And I was like, I'm so tired. I think there's so much transformation that just happened within my body in 48 hours that I don't know what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And she did like her
Yep.
whole little like energy Reiki on me. And I was like, okay, yeah, I do feel a little bit better now. Thank you. But I literally, before I went, I just had this whole expectation that, it was going to be just like business strategy. And yeah, of course you were going to do your magic, but for every single person in attendance, every single speaker, everybody just showed up in a way that literally created life-changing breakthroughs, I think, for everybody in that space. And, again, thank you for doing that. But when you were creating that event, what was the energy behind that? What was like your, kind of like embodying that outcome? Like, what were you
Yeah.
thinking was going to happen?
Well, I knew it was going to be my last live event. And
Mhm.
so I was going ham at like, making sure it was like we were going out with a bang, first of
Yeah.
all. So
Yeah.
knowing that in mind, I was like, what do I like? I hated other events I went to and it was just sitting there and listening and being inspired. Like,
Yeah.
which those are great. And I think there's like a place for that. Cause like, for beginners, if they probably would have come to Mommy Millionaire Live, they might have been like overwhelmed a little bit.
Mhm.
So I think there's a place for those ones. But for me, I'm just like, I know that doesn't cause breakthrough. Like that
Yeah.
plants a seed in somebody, but it's not going to change their life. What changes people's lives is having an emotional transaction.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when I say people are like, what? An emotional transaction. Okay. It's when like somebody gives something to you, and so when you go out in life, you're a new person. And we just scheduled things along the way where you were having emotional transaction after emotional transaction. And it wasn't like just sadness. Okay. So there's happy, there's sexy time. We had that with Tone and Tease with Tara Romano.
Yes.
And then like this sisterhood bond that was created with all of you. I mean, it makes me so happy because I see all of you guys, and everybody's still best friends from Mommy Millionaire Life,
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
and it's such a cool thing. And that's exactly what I wanted. I just, it created that intention that like people were going to leave and find their sisters for life, so they could go out and create their own events and go. And now I've seen so many people partner up and do that. And it makes me so happy. So that was really the intention behind it, was that I knew people's lives were going to change. And we had to facilitate different experiences that you've never done before in order for that to happen. So yeah, it's you're making me want to do it again, but I'm like,
Yeah.
not till 2022.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about that time that you were up on stage,
Yeah.
and we got to coach together, and that was really special. And I mean, people are still talking about it because you provided so much in that moment for people, and you were just so raw and vulnerable. And I think that's why you have the platform you do, is because that's how you show up. You wear your heart on your sleeve. It's like, what you're going to get with Kelly.
Yeah.
And I love that about you. I absolutely love that about you. And I know you inspired so many women in the audience that day, because they're like, oh my gosh, if Kelly can be real, I can be real.
Thank you. Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And that, that whole moment, that experience, like, it obviously I like broke down into tears every time I talk to you. I feel like I break down into tears, in some way. And, you just saying that phrase, the emotional transaction, that's exactly what you give people. That's exactly what takes place. And, to go further into that, I think like literally that's one of my favorite things about you, is that you have this like ability to, as someone's talking to you, you pick up immediately on their limiting belief, their fear, their story, and you immediately just like interrupt and just call them out on it and be like, hold up. No, 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 no. I think it's so absolutely fascinating. But how did you learn to do that? Like, that is a skill, to be able to pick that up. Obviously, you're extremely emotionally intelligent, and I know that that's the awareness in you, but how have you done that? And how do you consistently, I guess, improve that emotional intelligence?
Well, I think the number one thing is you have to be in tune with yourself. You're always going to be your best instrument when you're in this space of helping people, on other people. I believe that we are all connected in some way. Okay. And I'm not going to get too into that, but I just have always been able to pick up on other people's energies and their thoughts. I'm not a psychic or anything like that, but I just within 30 seconds usually of talking to somebody, I know what's up. And I think it's because I do the work daily on myself multiple times a day. I'm constantly checking in with myself and just, knowing where am I at? What am I feeling? What biases am I bringing into the situation, into the conversation? And my intention is always, like, I always talk to God about this. My intention is always to be in my highest good and help people for their highest good. And so I think God just talks to me a lot of the time, like I think that that's like a gift that I've been given, to just be like connected straight to God. And I just pick up on stuff. It's kind of like people ask me this all the time, because they're like, that is your gift, Cayla. And I'm like, I try to teach it in my Mommy Millionaire Coaching Academy. And the best way that I can teach it is just like, you got to be doing the work on yourself. You got to know all of the things that make you tick and the things that make you mad. And like, when you know those things, like, it's just so helpful. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And that was the expected answer, is just tuning into yourself, again, improving your own emotional intelligence. And that's when you can pick up on it, and recognizing your fears and limiting beliefs yourself.
Totally. And I grew up, very, I was like the black sheep of my family.
Mhm.
And I don't know if anybody listening in right now has ever felt that way in their family. If you're listening to Kelly, you're probably, you're into helping people and, making the world a better place. And so you might, you might have felt like a black sheep growing up because it wasn't normal. Like healing and the healers, like it wasn't a normal thing. Like we didn't
Right.
know, anyway, we didn't know that was a thing when we were kids.
Mhm.
Um, but I always knew I wanted to help people. And I would sit back a lot of times and just observe as a child. I was just observing everything that was happening. I was observing what was happening in my family. I would look at them and say, I'm very different than them. Like I know. And so I just got to know me. Like,
Mhm.
what do I like? What it's very different than what they like. And so even as a kid, I didn't know that that's what I was doing, like intellectually was having this emotional intelligence, but I just became an observer of
Yeah.
myself and of people, and
Mhm.
I just knew I was different. And that's what made me kind of like was like, oh, I want to learn about myself. Why am I so different than my family? Like I literally thought God put me in the wrong family. That's what I would tell
Wow.
my mom all the time. I'm like, this, I was meant to be like in a castle somewhere, like as a queen. What happened?
That's right.
Serious. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. My mom like still laughs about it.
I love that. And you are. You are a queen.
I know now I say I do kind of live in a castle.
You do. You have a beautiful home. Yeah, but like I said, those emotional transactions that you do um, hold space for, that is the breakthrough that everybody has and that everybody literally needs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, the other the other week, I did an Instagram live and I had a friend of mine who's a health coach, and I got to a certain point with her. Like I was kind of just doing like a live coaching session with her on my Instagram. And I got to a point and something popped up for me. And I got, I'm just being honest here. I like got into like protection mode with her. And I didn't do my job.
Ooh.
I didn't go deep with her when I heard something that I knew I should have went deep on. And afterwards I was like, that just didn't feel like I know the work that I do is really pretty awesome. And what just happened on Instagram was not pretty awesome. Like I like totally called myself out of it. And I literally, your name, your image, everything came up. And I was like, I should have Cayla Craft her. I used you as an action, like a verb. I was like, I should have Cayla Crafted her. And I didn't. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I went like completely into conversation mode with myself, just internally, like, why did that happen to you, Kelly? Why did you go into protection mode with this girl? Like, why were you trying to keep her safe? Blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I got to the conclusion of what happened. And I think, it is a very, very vulnerable place when you do have that emotional transaction with someone and you do highlight their darkness per se. And that's what I was probably about to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, I don't want her to like freak out in front of like my Instagram following, And so I totally I totally dimmed my light to save hers.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my
Well,
gosh.
so what happens there is actually when we are afraid of bringing out the darkness in somebody else, it's because we're afraid of bringing out the darkness in ourselves,
Mm,
actually.
yeah. All right. For
Right?
reflection.
So w- yeah. So we've got to get comfortable with sitting with the light and with sitting with the darkness. That's what they call the shadow work or whatever. Right. And so, I mean, I've been in situations where people are screaming and they're punching and they're hitting and they're letting out all of their anger. And I'm just sitting there watching it because you want to know why? Because I probably just did it the day before in my own closet. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's easier for me to sit there and be in their pain with them, and not take it on as my own and let them be in their darkness because I know what it's like. I was just there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so as a coach, it's really important that we sit in the light, right? And that's your protection mode.
Yeah.
You were probably telling her all the strategy. Here's what you need to do. Okay.
Right.
And that's great. But then if you don't do that, it's just like putting a band-aid on it. She's going to wind up in the same spot again
Right.
because you didn't teach her to sit with that part of her. So we got to sit with the darkness and we've got to sit with the light.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And granted, she was my friend. So I did call her later and be like, hey, this is how I felt after that. And this is what I heard. And so I did kind of like go through a little coaching session with her offline, but you know, I was like, dang it, Kelly, you did not show
Yeah.
up the way that you know you can.
Well, you need to just you need to have compassion for
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I did. I blessed and released. I forgave.
Yeah, good.
But no, thank you. That definitely is very helpful. So, um, I want to talk about your first. We're going to go with the relationship. You have an incredible husband who I have had the honor of meeting. His name is Chase, which is a great name. And he works with you now, right? Like he's a part of the Mommy Millionaire brand. And that is incredible.
Yes.
I love. Yeah, I absolutely love
he
that.
is and you just heard me before this podcast. I was mad at him
Yeah.
because he didn't have my mic set up. The joys of working with your husband. No, so we've been working together for a little over 6 years, and before that, he used to work in the oil fields for a family business, and he was, a big shot in the oil industry. Everybody knew Chase's name. He was doing sales and all this stuff. Okay, I don't really understand what he did, but when I was making so much money, I was like, you're leaving and working like 60 hours a week. You got to come home.
Yeah.
And that was also the dream that was kind of sold to me, to like be a power couple and, retire your husband. And that's like the worst advice that was ever given to me, because when I retired my husband, I retired his purpose, or what he thought was his purpose at the time. And so it actually caused our marriage to have a lot of dysfunction. We actually separated twice during that period because it was just so hard. We were trying to, like, he lost his identity because at that point, his identity was still wrapped up in his career. And so was mine. Right.
Yeah.
And I wanted things done a certain way. And it was the whole freaking mess. And so the reason why I'm telling your audience that is that, what I should have done was practice unconditional love for where he was, and just focused on, being the best version of myself. And if he wanted to quit his job, he could quit his job. But don't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do just because you think that's what's going to be best for them.
Absolutely.
And it's really hard because, like, oh my gosh, like, you want people, most of us women are control freaks, right?
Yeah.
Because we've learned that that's a way to be safe, is to control people. And that's actually a way to, disconnect from yourself and from the world, is by trying to control them. So, yeah, we've struggled for a while, and now, thank God, we are doing amazing. And you got to see that, Kelly, at the live event.
Yes.
Because I think that was Chase's first time really understanding. He put on that live event. I was extremely sick, and I had the vision and I got the people and I did all the things, but behind the scenes, that was when I was going through my breast implant illness. I was dying. Like, I was so sick. And so Chase was really running the show and getting everybody there and all the stuff. And when we got in that circle at the end, he felt the change that he had, been a part of creating. And so it was really powerful for him. And he's just really taken ownership of Mommy Millionaire since then. So it's been really, really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah. That was, that would make me emotional again, but that really was like such a connecting, us in that circle, just all the women standing around. Just to paint the picture for the audience, she had everyone get in a circle, and this is a huge conference room, 100 women probably in a circle holding hands. And Cayla walked around to every single person, stopped in front of us, and we had to say an affirmation. Like, I am fierce, I am a warrior, whatever it felt like for you, right? And out loud, and like everybody was crying. It was so amazing. And then you like got in the middle of, got in the center of the circle, and you just had like this reflection and this huge moment of gratitude. And I remember you were like, basically, I do this affirmation, like nothing comes in between me and like serving people and blah, blah, blah. And like, I remember you specifically, and you like turned to Chase and you were like, not even him. And it was so funny. It was so funny. But you were like, I'm so grateful for him. Like, if it weren't for him, this whole thing wouldn't have happened, blah, 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 blah. So it was like such a powerful moment. And the whole experience was a powerful thing, of course. But yeah, that's kind of like what I wanted to ask you. Thank you for sharing that about, more personal details about your relationship, about your marriage. But like, when I didn't know that. When I look at you guys, I have, in the few years that I've known you, I've always been like, I want that. I've always thought that, like you guys do have this beautiful relationship, this beautiful love. And I understand that, marriage takes work, dating takes work, relationships take work, everything takes
Yep.
work. So how do you guys make it work? What have y'all done? Because I think it's really
Yeah.
important. I'm a huge communicator. Like my last relationship, I was like being vulnerable as usual, communicating. But like you just said too, like women are control freaks. The control kind of started to take over in that relationship. I'm like, come on. I'm like trying to pull teeth, to get this man to be vulnerable with me. But, we can't force people in their own journey. So, how have you and Chase gotten to a parallel journey?
Okay, I love that. So I would say the biggest thing is, first of all, you said it. You had no idea that that was going on in our relationship, but yet you wanted it, right? And that's
Yeah.
why it's really important to not look
Yeah.
outwards, at
Mhm.
any other couple and think that they have it better. The most important thing you can do is focus on being the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
That's like, and I know that sounds super cliche, but that's exactly what Chase and I have done is, we just came to an agreement where like, listen, this like little marriage certificate doesn't really mean anything.
Mhm.
Because people use that as like a binder. Oh, like we have to be in here, like we have
Yeah.
to make this work. And we just said, I don't want to be with anybody else. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to raise kids with you. And we were both on that same page. Like we choose each other. We want to be together.
Mhm.
And that's always like until something changes, if we don't want to choose each other anymore, then we'll have another conversation. But like that's where we're at is like choosing. Okay. So it's a choice
Yeah.
to be in this relationship. Nobody's a victim of being together. We're choosing to be together. And in that, the way that we help each other become our best selves is by being the best version of ourselves. So it's not like holding each other accountable or, trying to nag each other to do what we think they need to be doing. It's just when we are both staying in our lane, okay, and doing like the things that bring out our zone of genius, we
Mhm.
inspire each other to do the same. And so we're very focused on just like being our best. And, Chase has taken his health to a whole new level. He has taken his, mindset to a whole new level. He's working with a coach. And, I've always been doing that for like 5 years. And he just caught on with that about a year and a half ago, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe a little, no, actually, maybe a little bit more than that. And, it's just like we're focused on our own things.
I love
And
that.
in that, we come together and we create something beautiful because we inspire our kids to do that and we just have fun together.
Mhm.
So we're both not in this relationship trying to control each other. And that's what a lot of that's what people do.
Do.
And a lot of
Yeah.
marriage advice is, well, you got to have a date night and don't go to bed mad at each other. It's like, what? It's just like bull crap advice. I mean, we went to so many marriage counselors and it was always a waste of time. It just really was. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like I just, I hated every second of it. And I'm not saying that's bad if that's what you're doing. It just did not work for us.
Right.
The moment we both got separate coaches, everything changed for our
Yeah.
marriage, So
Mhm.
because we were just like, here, I'm going to focus on me and doing the best I can for me. And in that, I choose him because he is the best partner for me. I love doing life with him.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, to speak to, my former relationship, that was it. Like I am it's been 4 months now since we've had any communication and like I write my journal every day, I'm like grateful for this space created so that I could heal and recognize what wounds I needed to focus on and repair and and just let go of. And it's been such a profound thing and I'm like, wow, Kelly, like to fully like just work on yourself, hone in on yourself, be yourself, and whatever is meant to come in for you is going to come in. Whether that's in your
Mm-hmm.
relationship, your clients, whatever opportunities that brings you. Like you said, the more that you just focus on yourself and, bring in that self-love and that self-worth, things are going to happen for you. So absolutely
Yep.
it makes sense. And another
Mm-hmm.
thing, I love about a lot of times people kind of have this, and it goes back to kind of like the money mindset too, but a lot of times people think that they can't have both,
Yeah.
like love
Oh,
and money. I
Oh
can't
my
be wealthy
gosh.
and this. I
Mhm.
can't be successful and have a loving, relationship. And again, you guys are like the epitome. You have both. And
Yep.
I love that.
Ugh.
I love that.
But you know what? For a while, Kelly, it's so funny because for a while, I was stuck at like 950,000 a year. Okay. And I
Mm.
know people that are listening in right now, they're going, stuck? Like I'd be happy with, I know. Okay. But for me, like, I was doing all of the things and I was like, gosh, what is happening? Like, why can't I break through to this 7-figure ceiling? Okay. And I knew it was a mindset. I knew it was a mindset. And
Mhm.
I worked with a coach. Again, this is why it's so powerful to work with a coach. And
It
I've
is.
worked with so many different coaches. And she goes, Cayla, what do you think is going to happen to your family when you start making 7 figures? And it was like all of a sudden, my subconscious like brought it to the surface that my family was for sure going to fall apart once I hit 7 figures. Like
Wow.
I truly believe that in my subconscious mind that when I became extremely rich, 7 figures, extremely rich. That's what my subconscious thought. That my whole family was going to be done. My kids were going to hate me. That was literally a belief I had.
Wow.
Because growing up, I knew of a family where the parents were extremely successful and they ended up getting a divorce, and then the kids hated the dad.
Mm.
And so in my mind, it just planted something there that like, oh, that's what's going to happen to me. And so I had to rewrite that story and start telling my subconscious it is safe
Yeah.
to make a lot of money and your family is still going to love you. The more money you make, the more time you're going to enjoy with your family. And so that
Yeah.
was a story I had to just imprint in my subconscious. And then I had to do that, right? Like I had to be spending more time with my kids. And I started to like block out time with my kids. This sounds
Mm.
crazy, but if you're a mom, you get it. I put into my calendar and I still have it there. 3 hours from 3 to 6. It is all my kids, like
That's amazing.
period. Put the phone away. I don't do anything except be with my kids,
Wow.
which is actually really hard for a mom to do because most moms stay on their phones. Even when they're with their kids, they're by their phone or they're
Yeah.
doing something. They're doing laundry or they're doing anything but playing with their kids. And so
Mhm.
that is our routine. And every year since then, I have basically doubled my income. It's
Wow.
absolutely insane. And like this year, for instance, like, with the quarantine, the kids didn't have as many sports and we were together so much. And
Mhm.
I'm making more this year than I've ever made my entire life. And I've spent way more time with my kids. Our family is thriving. And so it just shows my subconscious mind, your family will thrive the more money you make. And so
Yeah.
this is a new belief, right? So it's like, of course, my body wants to make more money because I'm
Yeah.
going to thrive more and more with my family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And, I mean, that's something you have taught many of the coaches that I've, mentored under myself. It's like the more play, fun, and pleasure, the more successful we are.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and that's the belief I totally believe. That's the story I continue to tell myself.
Well, yeah, and I think I want that to be a louder story because there is a lot of masculine energy out there
Yeah.
that's talking about how the harder you work,
Yep.
the more money you'll make.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a lie from the pit of hell.
Yeah.
And it's keeping a lot of women playing small because they're like, oh, I don't want to live, I don't want my family to look like that. He never spends time with his family, so I'm going to just not try.
Right.
Right. And so I think it's really important who you're taking advice from.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't be consuming things from people where you would never trade places with them. Period.
Right. Absolutely. Totally 100% believe that. Um, yeah. And okay, when we were at the Mommy Millionaire event, you, it was like the very last day, and we started talking a little bit, deeper into money mindset. And you said the most profound thing. I even shared it the other night. And speaking to the moms out there that were in the audience, you were like, please just be careful, super careful with your words. If you ever catch yourself saying like, I can't afford this, it's too expensive, like reel it back in basically, because like as soon as you say those words and a child hears that, of course, yes, you are not saying like you're not worthy of this. It's not actually leaving your mouth, but that's what the child thinks. I'm not
Yep.
worthy of receiving that. I'm not worthy of having that. So, maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit and maybe share with us an example of how you could position those words to mean the same thing.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So my family, we don't have a swear jar. Okay. We have a jar, a money jar. Okay. And what this is we're very particular about how we speak about money in our home. Okay. Because all of my kids understand that money is a tool in which to represent value exchange. Okay. I know my kids are 10, 8, and 6, so they understand a little bit more than if your kids are super little. But basically, we have taught our kids the more value you bring into the world, and we've taught value to be giving your gifts, compliments, love. Okay. Any gifts that God has given you, your
Mhm.
happiness, your joy, those are gifts that you need to
Yeah.
give the world. The more value, that's just it. Okay. And so, we don't want work to be attached with money. That's very important. That we're teaching our kids that is because actually the most money that Chase and I have made is actually through investments where we work
Mm.
very little, you know? Okay. And
Yeah.
so we want to teach our kids that smart money mindset. And then the second thing is with this money jar, we have words that we don't like to say. But if we do say them, we got to put money in the jar. Okay. And we're going to give it away to families and stuff like that. So
That's nice.
one of the words is afford. One of the words is cheap. One of the words is expensive. And if any of us, because I'll still catch myself saying that. Okay.
Yeah.
Chase wanted to buy this 85-inch TV. And I go, that is way too expensive. Because to me, I don't find value in TV. So I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh, like absolutely not. I'm not spending that. And then my kids are like, Mom, $20 in the jar. And so I had to put $20 in the jar because I called the TV too expensive. Anyway, but
That's
the
so cute.
reason why is because we don't want to label things like that, like
Right.
expensive as compared to what,
Right.
right? Cheap compared to what, right?
Right.
And so we just don't like those words in our house when everything is about value. Okay. So
Yeah.
if a better thing that I could have said about the TV, and I recorrected myself, is I don't value TV. I don't believe that it brings any gifts into our world. And so I would not want to put the money that our family has into that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I reframed it and turned around. Anyway, Chase ended up getting the TV. Okay. Because he had a better argument than me. But
He valued the
it's
TV
fine.
more.
It's fine. Yes, say football is like a big deal in our house. And then I was like, okay, all right. It'll be fun to have football parties over
Yeah.
here.
You can watch your
Mhm.
Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And when he made it sound like, okay, you could have football parties and we can watch Alabama, we can all dress up. I was like, all right, we'll get the 85
Sold.
because then there was value there. I'm like, oh, I love hosting people. I love parties. Like, perfect.
Yeah, that's
Anyway.
funny.
So I think it's really important. Like you said, Kelly, that you're a communicator. You love
Yeah.
to communicate. I think a lot of times us as parents, and I don't know how your parents were with you, Kelly, but I wasn't communicated to a lot about things and to understand why we couldn't afford things or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I was always left to my assumptions, and my assumptions are what caused damage to my subconscious mind. Right.
Yeah.
And so with my kids, I over communicate. My mom always goes, God, Cayla, you tell your kids too much. I'm like, no, I'm teaching them real life skills.
Yeah.
So that way they're prepared. Charlie has her own business where
Yeah.
she creates things. It's called Charlie's Creations, and she makes helmets and she spray paints all these different types of things. And I'm teaching her the mindset of an entrepreneur now because I don't want her to have it. Teaching her like little stories and like at her level, but I'm just trying to over communicate with her. And that's the thing I'm the most passionate about in the world is communicating with my children.
Yeah.
And I wish more parents were passionate
Yeah.
about it. But a lot of people take the easy way out. Oh, I can't afford it. Oh, no, it's too much. Whatever.
Right. Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. And, that's something else, I think many of us can attest to this, but like when you were younger, people would always ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? That kind of thing. And for me, it's interesting because it kind of has come full circle now, but I always said I wanted to be a teacher, an actress, or like a baby doctor. I didn't know the term pediatrician at the time. So went with the baby doctor, the actress, the teacher, and, great. Yeah, those are great things. Great. And then, when it gets down to, I'm starting to probably start pursuing college, I'm 17 years old. And then those dreams, those visions of what I may be kind of have a different thought against them now. Like, my mom was a teacher for 15 years. So, the thought of, well, why would you want to do that? They don't make any money. It's so political now, like blah, blah, blah. And then it's like acting, Kelly, that's so, it's so competitive. Unless you like were born into like the industry, it's too competitive. You'll never make it kind of thing. baby doctor. You're going to have to go to school, and then you're going to have to go to school even more to become a doctor. Do you really want to be in school for that long? And then you have like so
Yeah.
much student debt and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, wow, the three things I thought I could be, I can't be anymore. And
Mhm.
I went through college. I probably got more of a degree in partying than I did in, lessons in college. But I didn't know. I had no idea what I wanted to do. My sister is 14 months older than me. She got a fashion merchandising degree because fashion was a passion of hers. And I was just like, yeah, sure, maybe I'll do the same thing because I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know what my interests are. I have no idea. So got in and out of school in 4 years, got the fashion merchandising degree. I've never done anything with it. I mean, yeah, sure, I like shopping, but that's beside, that's it. And I've been in sales and account management since, and then I got steered into health coaching, and now I'm into the mindset and business coaching, and it's wonderful. And that's where I'm like, okay, it has come full circle, although I had to, wait 15 years to get here to find my path, to find the alignment.
Yeah.
But I am helping people, I am teaching people, and I am acting because I show up on video all the time. I'm not acting, but
Right. Yep.
I'm a star. Um, but how do parent that with your children right now? Like, obviously you said Charlie has her own little business and you are empowering and encouraging them to find their own path. Like, how do you do that? And you don't conform to other parental ways of programming.
Yeah. I mean, I always just tell my kids, you could do whatever you want to do. And mommy is living proof of that. Daddy's living proof of that. Cooper, my 10-year-old, wants to be an NHL athlete.
Yeah.
Okay. And he very well could be. And I look at it because we moved to Newport Beach to give him a better opportunity, because where we were at before, I mean, there wasn't a lot of hockey there.
Mhm.
And so where we're at now, I mean, he plays hockey 7 days a week. He plays with one of the top coaches since with him. And so it's an opportunity that like we were able to give him because we have money, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, we spend so much we invest so much in our son, right? That's how I look at it. Look, I caught myself there. We invest so much in our son. And his dream. And so that's the biggest thing. And Charlie, she wants to be an actress. Okay. So she's in acting classes. She's in singing classes. She's going to be in a play in March. And, like, bless her little heart, they're, right now, because of the world, they're doing it on Zoom. And she's
Mhm.
just loving it. She comes into my office. She makes it her own little thing. And she
So cute.
practices every single day, singing and acting. And, it's just like we teach them, if you want something, all you need to do is perfect your gift at it.
Yeah.
So if you have this gift of acting, you have this gift of singing, all you need to do is like work on making it better and better every single day. And so that's what we've taught our kids, is like you focus in on the thing that you want to do and just become great at it. Okay. Because
Yeah.
God's given you that gift. It's our job to get better at it, because that's just the thing. And Channing, my 6-year-old, he who knows what he'll do, but he sees his brother and sister just being the best at what they do. So it's really cool. And I think that's our job as a parent, is to give our children opportunities to get better at the thing that they're passionate about. And next year Cooper might want to be a football player, or he might want to be an artist, and
Mhm.
we'll get him an opportunity to learn and become great at it. But that, you're not going to be able to do that because we can't afford it. That's a big thing
Yeah.
with parents, and it makes me really sad. And that's why my mission is to help 1 million women make $1 million or more a year, because
Mhm.
when we can invest into our kids to become better, we're investing in the next generation of leaders. And so
Absolutely.
it's really important that we give them the opportunities to excel in their gifts.
Yeah, absolutely. So what if, because I'm sure that there is a mom listening who's like, but I really can't, quote unquote, afford it. What is your advice for them that may not be financially aligned? It's not in their budget to create these opportunities. What's like your, next step, plan B?
Yeah. Well, I think work with your kids on their mindset.
Yeah,
First of all, like that's free. You don't have to have any money to do that. Teach
sure.
them, the power of their words, the power of speaking life over themselves. Watch your words around them. Make sure that it drives me crazy. I'll go on a freaking tangent real quick.
Yeah,
It
let's do
drives
it.
me crazy when I hear parents call their kids names.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it's just like that little weirdo, that
Mhm.
that little chunky monkey, or what else? Brat. You're acting like a brat right now. These are all things that get rooted in their subconscious mind. Like
Yeah.
this is not okay to call your kids names. Okay. So you could teach your kids at a very young age, like only to speak life over them. Like I always call my kids angels. I call them creative. I say you're so like when my kids go crazy and make a mess in the room and I'm like, oh dear. Instead of getting mad about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so imaginative. I wonder how quick you can clean this up. And I time
Nice.
them. So I make it a game and I don't make them get in trouble for it.
Mm.
And here's one coming in. He heard his name being called.
Hey, little guy.
Um,
Oh.
so you know what I mean? Like I think um you've got to break the societal norms
Yeah.
of the way that you were parented and change, you know, become a better parent for your kids. But you
Mhm.
can't do it the way that your parents did it because they didn't have as much resources. They didn't have free podcasts that they could listen into to become better. You know what I
Right.
mean? But you do, and that's all free. So there's really no excuse to not afford it. I mean, if you're a mom right now that's like, "Well, I can't do this." You could resell things.
Right.
You know, you could make things and you could help have your kids help you make things and sell it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of different things that you could be doing. But if you have that mindset of you can't, you never will.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said at the very beginning, you're the queen of pivot. And that, pivot's been one of my big words, pivot, shift, or transition. It's like, okay, what is not working? How can we
Yep.
pivot, shift, or transition so it can work or another action can work, and like bring that in and create opportunities for yourself. Like you said, yeah, sell your couch if you need to. Like, you don't need it. Like, there are so many different ways that we can create opportunities to expand
Yep.
not only ourselves, but our
Well,
children.
you know, I've had people sell couches, to work with a Mommy Millionaire coach because they
Yeah.
knew, you know, if I work with a coach, they're going to help me see the things that I can't currently see. And within a couple months, their whole life has changed. They have new
Hmm.
opportunities and they're making money. They can get a better couch than they had before. You know, but a
Absolutely.
lot of people aren't willing to do that because they think, well, I have to have a couch. It's like, why?
Right.
Why? You know, I grew up without a couch. You could not have a couch
Right.
for a little bit. I don't know why I went on that tangent, but whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, okay, with that all being said, I think one of your biggest powers, like superpowers too, is the ability to forgive people. I know that you had a really big forgiveness story, that I would love for you to share with us. And, just before you do, I want to say, I don't hold any grudge or resentment towards my parents for their programming to tell me you don't need to be an actress, you don't need to be a teacher, blah 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 blah. Like everything,
Yeah.
what they've learned, what they conveyed to me. Yeah, they didn't know, and they did the best
Mhm.
that they could. And I want to tell all of you out there too, like, if you are a mom, if you are a parent, you're doing the best that you can, but can we do better? Sure. If you are a single female listening in on the other side and you have parents, and you're sitting here thinking like, oh my God, my mom told me this, my dad told me this about myself, blah, blah. And you start then like blaming game. I want you to stop doing that, because again, it was their programming. They were just trying to keep you safe because they love you, 9 times out of 10, it's for those reasons. And, and
Mhm.
let's forgive. So Cayla, can you share a little bit about your
Mhm.
big forgiveness story with us?
I mean, I've had to forgive so many people in my life. I've had to
Okay.
forgive
Your
myself
dad,
so
your,
much,
your,
right?
your
My
dad.
dad. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I grew up with um my biological dad having a drug addiction. And that caused me to have a lot of abandonment issues growing up. And, you know, what I don't know if Kelly talks about this at all, but the father wound, you know, or just daddy issues. You know, just feeling like I was never good enough, feeling like I always needed to prove myself to receive love from somebody. And even when I received love from somebody, I couldn't accept it because, you know, the one person that was supposed to love me wasn't around.
Mhm.
And for a long time, I was really hurt by it. And, you know, then when I got into this whole coaching thing when I was like 23 years old and I started working with other women, I realized that a lot of people had that, even when their dad was in their life. Or I saw people that had a really great dad and was treated like a princess have no ambition and they couldn't get things done and they gave up really easily. And I'm like, gosh, okay, a lot of this has to do with the way that your dad treated you. And anyways, it got me really interested, and then it got me really grateful, because I'm like, if my dad would have been around, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. Okay,
Yeah.
because I didn't have a dad. I had a lot of thick skin. I didn't take things personally by other people, or when people would make fun of me on social media, like, for posting or doing whatever I was doing 10 years ago when it was like new. To me, my defense mechanism was to just not let anybody in. So it
Mhm.
was, anyways, it was very helpful for me to get to where I wanted to go. And so I forgave my dad, and I'm like, gosh, it's really sad that he had to live a really sucky life, like growing up in and out of jail, struggling, being homeless. Like, that's a really sucky life. But because he lived that life, I'm extremely successful today. And I just put the two and two together, and I forgave my dad. And I'm like, gosh, like, I feel bad for him. I
Mhm.
feel bad for him that he still struggles to this day with
Yeah.
addiction. And, he's in his 60s, and it breaks my heart. And so I know that's his own journey that he's on. And I've really just blessed and released him from my life. And yeah, I mean, it's something that it's sucky if you look at it and you want to be a victim, right? Like, oh, my
Right.
dad didn't love me. My dad left me. So woe is me. And I just chose that was not going to be my story, that I was
Yeah.
going to like make something out of my life, and I was going to be a victor over it. I knew I had been given gifts, and a lot of my gifts are the same ones that my dad has.
Wow.
And which is so crazy, like, he's a very good communicator, he's very charismatic, he's all the things, but he just didn't know how to use them. And so I almost feel like that obligation, like, I'm going to do that, and I'm gonna, like, be amazing, which I am. And
You are.
so gosh, I'm kind of rambling, but I think the biggest thing
Mm.
is a lot of people like choose to be a victim. And a lot of people are, like, I was, as a child, I was a victim, but I couldn't let that define me for the rest of my life, because now I'm an adult and I can see things from a whole new view. Like, that
Yeah.
my dad leaving and abandoning me was the best thing that happened to me, because if he would have been around doing drugs in our home, maybe I would have ended up on drugs,
Right.
And so you got to always like have a different perspective. And that's what forgiveness gives you, is a different perspective. And I'm so freaking grateful for him. And I have to work on it every day, because it's that little girl, Cayla, is still hurt by that and still wants a dad, but I have to just
Yeah.
spend time with her, and, you know, let her know everything's going to be okay and that she's
Yeah.
safe.
That's right. That's right. Everything is going to be okay. Yep. That is such a big thing for me too. I mean, I preach that to my girls that I coach as well, and just my community in general. It's like everything is going to be okay. Like it feels like, 2020, it feels like the world was collapsing on all of us. But,
Yes.
I from where I'm at in the way that my mind works, I'm like, wow, yeah, like I lost a relationship this year. I lost some things this year, but, and not downplaying anyone who tragically lost someone or lost jobs or whatever. But for me, a grieve is a grieve. And, I did. I lost a relationship this year, but I like look back on everything. I mean, in my business, all the pivots and things that have happened and the different energies and the misalignments and everything that has happened this year for me. And I'm like, I'm just so grateful. Like it was like a year of like total like healing and awakening for me. And I hope that, for those who feel like this whole year was just
Yeah.
crap, that they could actually just like take a step back, aerial view in and be like, okay, well, this went to the shit, but how is this helping me actually for the future? Like, how did I have to pivot, shift, and transition, and how am I going to make
Yep.
2021 better? So, what is some of your advice on that? Just helping to see the gratitude as we go into 2021 and, kind of shifting the mindset of how some people may be thinking about this year too.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is, and my daughter told me this the other day. Okay. So I'm going to quote Cayla Craft here. She goes, if you focus on your past, you'll miss your future. Okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, my child is a genius. Oh, if you focus on your past, you'll miss your future. And if you keep focusing on what went wrong, all you're going to do is become a crap magnet, and more
Yeah.
crap's going to be coming into your life. And so the most powerful thing you can do is entertain your vision, entertain your future. Every morning when I wake up, I'm like entertaining everything I want to happen in 2021. And I have some wild, crazy dreams,
Mm,
and instead of entertaining, oh my God, that'll never happen, I entertain, whoa, this is what it's going to feel like when it does.
yeah.
And then I'm in that feeling and being high vibe of having all my dreams come true. And so you start to attract these different opportunities into your life because you're so high vibe. So
Yeah.
if the dream job is to entertain that dream and find a way to make it come true. And you
Yeah.
just got to focus on that, got to focus on that. And the reason why sometimes we don't is because we're letting a former version of ourselves be in control of our day. And
Mm-hmm.
when we spend time with that little girl or little boy, and let them, know that they're safe, but the big girl's in charge today. Your
Right.
higher self is in charge today, then she can sit back and feel safe and not try to control the situation. Your higher self is surrendered, knowing that 2021 is going to be your best year ever. And all you need to do is surrender to it and know that everything is happening for your highest good, everything, period.
Period.
And then you start to attract all this stuff. You were here to prosper. You were here to feel abundant. You were here to make the world a better place. And when you live into that, knowing, just
Mm-hmm.
beautiful things start to happen. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it is true. Definitely. I mean, this podcast was just, it's just been a fear based thought for a very long time. I think I talked to you about this podcast probably 2 years ago. And here we are.
Yep.
We're going live. Because it
Yeah.
is
The
true.
point is you're finally doing it.
I'm finally doing it. Absolutely. Yeah. And it feels incredible. I mean, having you, I mean, all the other guests that I have already interviewed, the ones that I'm going to interview, I am just like, this is what lights me up. Like, it's just, I'm in alignment. I'm very much in alignment.
Yes.
And just like that feel, like you were saying, like getting into that, like embodying that feeling. It's
Yep.
like, I already feel the feels of like how, our conversation was going to go, how the next guest is going to go. And like, just like how I want 2021 to feel in every moment of like, whatever I'm doing day
Yes.
to day. Like it's such a manifesting quote unquote tool, I guess. So it's awesome. Oh my
That's
gosh.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, for doing this, taking time out of your day. I would love for you to share like how people can find you, what things you're working on. I mean, share like all your goodness with people.
Aw. Well, I think the best way to get connected is I have a podcast too called the Mommy Millionaire podcast. So you could head over there after you listen to Kelly's show. Um, we need to have you on, Kelly. We could talk
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
Um, and then you can find me on Clubhouse. Okay. I'm like playing over there, Clubhouse,
Okay.
Cayla Craft over there. And I'm really excited about it. Okay. Over there because it's like really like you get the good stuff. And then on Instagram, I'm Cayla Craft too, CaylaCraft. And the best thing to do is just to listen in to that,
Yeah.
to all the goodness I'm constantly putting out. And then I also, anybody could text me if you want to, and I give you daily affirmations. And my number is 661-491-7447 if you want to receive daily affirmations from me.
Yeah, and they're good. I am subscribed to that text thread. So I'm always like, Kayla. Thank you. Well, again, thank you so much. You're beautiful. And I'm proud of you. I don't know how many people tell you that ever. Because a lot of people look up to you, but sometimes it's nice
Aw.
to be the superior and people telling you that they're very proud of you. So if I'm the
Aw,
first
thank
today,
you.
then great.
Yay. I love it. I receive it. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
so happy for you. And I
Thank
know
you.
you're changing the world. And I'm just so proud of you for shining so bright because you're giving permission to so many people out there to be themselves.
Yeah,
And that's just a really beautiful thing. So
thank you.
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for acknowledging. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks, girlfriend.